The Volvo Ocean Race marks the pinnacle of ocean racing. But it all began in 1973 as the Whitbread Round the World race. So much has changed over the years, but the fundamentals remain. Man and machine fighting the elements. The act of winning the greatest prize. Unaware of the legacy that pursues them, 17 boats leave the Solent at the start of the first ever race. Three years later, and the legend lives on. Not even the biggest icebergs or Southern Ocean storms can deter the world's best sailors. The competition strengthens in the 1980s. 29 boats embark on the global adventure of a lifetime. A splash of glamour washes over the race in the mid-80s. Prominent sponsors back campaigns, and pop legend Simon Le Bon enters his own yacht. Drama fuels the race in 1989. Sir Peter Blake wins every leg on his Maxi Steinlager, while Tracy Edwards is successful in entering the first all-women team on Maiden.
What the Whitbread does.
A two-class fleet sets the scene for race 6. The Maxi's days are numbered as the Whitbread 60 begins to take charge. And by 1997, it's a one-class event. Close racing and fierce competition beckons the biggest names in sailing. Boats are separated by meters now, not miles. Picking up from where the Whitbread left off, the Volvo Ocean Race begins. 8 Volvo 60s take to the racetrack for another epic battle. Cue the Volvo Open 70. Longer, wider, faster. It's more machine than sailcraft. Speed records are demolished. Boats are lost for good. The extremity of the event steps up another gear. And so the race continues this year. 8 boats and 88 sailors have the world as their racetrack. Their quest to win the Volvo Ocean Race.
The thing that drives me in all the sailing I do is winning.
Competition is probably as extreme as the races itself.
Go, go!
Yeah, results. This time we got to get some.
Any gains we can make on the competitors puts a smile on my face.
Go, guys, go, go! He's hooked, he's hooked.
When the results are good, they make us smile a little more.
For us, we want to win, there is no second.
The world is the racetrack. Starting in Alicante, the boats charge into the Atlantic Ocean. The dive south takes them all the way to Cape Town at the end of leg 1. The fleet then heads east from the Cape of Good Hope, bound for Cochin in India. The warm waters of Singapore beckon the fleet for Christmas before the hard sail north through the Siberian winter to Qingdao in China. Then it's a sailing marathon. 12,500 miles through the Pacific Ocean, around the iconic Cape Horn, and up to the welcoming climes of Rio de Janeiro. The Northern Hemisphere then beckons again to take the fleet up to Boston. Then it's a high-speed transatlantic dash to Galway. A Marstrand pit stop, followed by a stopover in Stockholm, and then the grand finale itself in the stunning city of St. Petersburg. It's the longest route the race has ever seen, and there's no doubt that it's going to prove the toughest. From the Spanish castle of Alicante to the White Knight of St. Petersburg, and all of the challenges that lie between. Leading the fleet in this year's race are some of the finest all-round sailors in the event's history. 4 are Olympic medalists, 6 are multiple world champions, 3 have contested the America's Cup. Pre-race favourite is Ericsson VOR, skippered by Brazilian great Torben Grail, 5 times an Olympic medalist. The second of the Ericsson boats is led by Anders Luander, a newcomer to the race. He's in charge of an inexperienced Nordic crew. Spanish telecommunications giant Telefonica have also entered 2 boats in the race. Competing in his 6th round-the-world race is Dutchman Bauer Becking. He skippers Telefonica Blue. Local hero Fernando Echevarri will be at the helm of Telefonica Black, his crew made up of mostly Spanish-speaking sailors. Loud and proud is Puma's Il Mostro, led by America's Cup veteran Ken Reid. East meets west on Green Dragon. The Irish-Chinese entry is headed by double Olympic silver medalist Ian Walker. Andreas Hanekamp is skippering Team Russia, the project funded by supermarket magnate Oleg Zerpsov, who will sail with the crew on leg 2. Completing the 8-boat lineup is Delta Lloyd. Led by Irishman Ger O'Rourke, this boat is a much modified ABN AMRO 1, which was victorious in the last race. Of the 80 competitive sailors contesting the first leg to Cape Town, roughly half are newcomers to the race. But for the veterans, saying goodbye to loved ones is no easier. A farewell from the King of Spain for Ericsson's Crown Prince. Ahead, the 6,500 nautical mile charge to Cape Town.
How much to go? 420.
With the race just a few hours old, Puma cuts the corner on Ericsson VOR and surges into the lead. The crew of Il Mostro, the monster, and their outfits are strangers to volume control. But beneath the swagger and poise, it's hard work and commitment that form the core of the campaign.
It's the Volvo still. You can make us look good, but it doesn't change the game. The Puma attitude is really good. It's been a lot of fun to be involved with that aspect, but the Volvo at the end of the day is hard work. You can look as flashy as you want, but you still have to work hard.
The men on Il Mostro are well backed and well drilled. If their opponents foul up, Puma will pounce. Ken Reid's crew are making tracks, but Ericsson VOR are hard on their heels. For the pre-race favourites, failure of any kind is not an option. After their humiliating 5th place in the last race, Ericsson immediately signed up the winning boat's designer, Juan Cumijan. launching a big-budget, two-boat campaign, the envy of their rivals. Ericsson IV was produced to be skippered by legendary Brazilian sailor Torben Grail, his growing crew list studded with previous race winners. Massive investment in talent and technology mean Ericsson cannot afford to fail. Well-equipped and ruthless, they look bulletproof. On Ericsson 3, however, Anders Luander and his men are making their way to Cape Town knowing their race could be over almost before it's begun. Their keel has been deemed illegal by race management and a penalty awaits in South Africa. On Telefonica Blue, Bauer Becking is all too aware of the challenges that lie in front of him. A veteran of 5 previous races, the Dutchman's story is one of courage and dogged determination.
You might have to release the pressure a little bit in the raft, guys.
When he and his crew were forced to abandon the ill-fated Movistar mid-Atlantic, her keel compromised and a storm approaching, Becking's 0506 campaign looked like being his last. Movistar was never recovered, but somehow Becking's self-belief remained intact.
Yeah, it's definitely unfinished business. Like, of course, last race we didn't make the finish, and that's just a horrible feeling. And looking at the crystal ball, there would have been a big chance to end up on the podium. And this time we've done way more homework on the design, and we've got a great team. So yeah, hopefully we can finish the business this time.
After 2 wins out of 2 in the Alicante import races, Telefonica's faith in Bauer Becking looks well placed. To be leaving their home port first and second overall is a dream start for the Spanish boats. But on the opening night, Telefonica Blue experienced problems with their steering and head for Gibraltar. Puma's Il Mostro is also experiencing a baptism of fire.
The boats are, they're man-eaters. They take people and chew them up and spit them out. If you want to come sail one of these boats, you better bring your A game and a really strong mental state of mind. It'll break the average person.
After accruing a 12-hour penalty to fix the steering in Gibraltar, Telefonica Blue are on their way. Becking's men are now playing catch-up, knowing that those ahead have failed to make significant gains. As the fleet heads out of the Mediterranean, the leading boats, Puma, Ericsson IV and Ericsson III, remain tightly bunched. The opening leg is becoming an enormous challenge for Andreas Hanekamp and his men on Team Russia. They're being battered by the elements as they try everything possible to stay with the fleet.
Doesn't get any better than this. Atlantic Ocean, 25 knots of breeze, inside on a good shift, surfing down the waves, boat that handles like a dream in this stuff, averaging about 21 knots. What's there not to like? The Ericsson IV, you know they're sailing the boat really, really hard. You know they're not going to let up, so it helps keep the intensity up here. It's fun, it's good, it's very good.
They got about a mile-and-a-half lead on us right now, and we just got a flat-out drag race going. It's pretty fun.
They're pushing hard at the front of the fleet, but soon there are problems on Ericsson IV.
Tony's got a bit of an infected knee that we have to drain a lot of pus out, so we've got some good needle action ahead of us this morning. which is great because it's nice calm conditions to be stabbing needles around. Here's my list of instructions. What could possibly go wrong?
Just got off the phone with Dr. Spike Biggs back on shore, and he strongly recommends that we get Tony off the boat. So I guess that's what we're going to do.
Getting Mudder off the boat at Cape Verde is proving problematic.
Hervé sent an email saying he's confirmed the boat left the harbour at 1500 UTC, which is an hour and a half ago.
Basically, I think we got a fishing boat coming out from the island, and try and rendezvous with them, and I'll try and step off the boat. We're doing about 10 knots or something like that, and get picked up, and I'll be in the hospital by this evening.
130 heading. He wants to go 130 heading.
We've been floating here in the calm, and the guy's still not here. Now we're trying to find out where he is, and it's just time tickling away. It's very disappointing. Tamura, o motor está desligado, correto? Good luck, son.
As our fleet works their way through the doldrums, the area of low pressure near the equator, a surprise leader emerges. Ian Walker on Green Dragon has gambled on a westerly route, and it's paid off. While Green Dragon makes gain, Delta Lloyd's progress is about to come to a shuddering halt.
I've got the sail caught around one of the jumpers and broke off the jumpers. Schoolboy out.
Just keep it down, so
It's not unfixable.
Are you recording that? It's not unfixable. I like it, Crystal.
It might take me a while.
I like it positive.
Fernando de Noronha is one of Brazil's hidden treasures, one of a series of volcanic islands 200 miles off its northeastern coast. Fernando marks the first scoring opportunity of leg one. And Green Dragon, Puma and Ericsson 4 are all in the running for first prize. Day 13, 12:24 GMT, and after a couple of extra tacks, it's the Green Dragon that slips through the scoring gate to gain the maximum 4 points.
It's a fantastic achievement for our team, not just for all the guys on the boat, but all the guys ashore, and now we've got to start working on the next 3,000 miles. The priority right now is to restore power to the boat. On the last tack there, we've lost all power, we've lost control of the keel system, we've got no instruments, we've got nothing. So right now we are just trying to get the boat back in racing order. We're going to head south as fast as we can and try and pick up more wind.
Following Green Dragon through the scoring gate is Torben Grail on Ericsson 4 and Ken Reid on Puma's Il Mostro. But the champagne sailing at Fernando de Noronha will soon become a memory.
How does it look, guys?
Frightening. There's plenty of wind down there. It's going to be there for some time, so there's going to be some big waves. So it's going to be a time for hanging on. How far to Rio?
500 miles.
Man, we could just go there. Okay. First boat to Rio.
I said turn right. You nervous?
Yeah.
Why?
A lot of these guys haven't sailed these boats in these kind of conditions before. The water's cold, it's tiring, it's heavy. Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. Getting ready for Armageddon, really. Huh?
Day 18 and the big winds duly arrive. For some, the next 4 days are about survival. For others, a place in the history books is in the offing. Ericsson 4 hooks onto the northwesterly winds first and holds on hardest.
Just got a 24-hour record!
Ericsson 4 notches up 596 nautical miles in just 1 day. But Telefonica Black is nursing wounds and is picked on once again. The sea claiming one of the boat's rudders, part of a dagger board and the bowsprit.
Okay, I think something in the rudder broke.
Crushing disappointment as their progression south is now reduced to a crawl. Dawn, Table Bay. "22 days after leaving Alicante, Ericsson 4 creeps into Cape Town to win the opening leg.
You are looking at the fastest rudder hull and the fastest crew in the world.
It's a fantastic result to be second at the scoring gate and first at the finish after having to have a quick stop to leave Tony in Cape Verde and have the 24-hour record in the meantime. Couldn't be any better.
Following Ericsson 4 home is Puma's Il Nostro. Just under 12 hours after Ken Reid and his Puma crew head for hot baths and warm beds, another Cape Town sunrise welcomes Ericsson 3 home. The opening leg belongs to Ericsson 4 and they lead the Volvo Ocean Race by a point over Puma. Green Dragon lies third. Delta Lloyd and Team Russia will hope for better luck on the second leg to India. Ericsson 3 has also got its act together. After its keel was ruled non-compliant by an international jury in Alicante, the Nordic boat has so far been penalised a total of 4 points, placing it 6th on the leaderboard instead of 5th. Swift work by their partners has put the boat back on equal terms. It's only in Cape Town that Leg 1 winners Ericsson 4 have been able to put much clear water between their boat and the one that chased them so hard and for so long, Puma's Il Nostro. Although both emerged from the South Atlantic comparatively unscathed, theirs was an epic and enduring battle.
We know what they're going through, they know what we're going through. It was a slugfest for essentially 3 weeks of the most intense sailing.
Not until the heavier conditions towards the end of the leg did Ken Reid's crew finally lose touch with Ericsson 4. having begun their ocean-going match race as they left the Mediterranean. The contest pushed both crews to the limits of their endurance and expertise, and sometimes beyond.
One watch, I think we had lost 3 skeds in a row to Ericsson 4. And Sydney went up and on his watch, and he grabbed the wheel, and I could see in his eyes, he had this fireman's helmet on and the flap down, and his eyes were about this big around, and his knuckles were white, and he was gripping it. And he was not going to lose another sked to those guys.
And he said, look, Sydney is on rails. He said, but we're going to break the boat. This is too insane. I mean, we are going to blow this boat apart. He's down below, and the noise, the slamming, you know, it's just, it was insane. And I'm sitting there going, we're going fast. I mean, we are smoking.
Like, listen, just, if things feel a little edgy right now, just tell him just a little throttle back. And he said, yeah, okay, I got it. He goes, I got it, Cap, I got it.
So I put my gear on, went up on deck, went over to Sid, and they go, you're kicking ass, keep it up. Kenny said, did you tell him to slow down? I go,
oh, at least I got great respect amongst the crew. You know, they do exactly what I say.
He was like, you are such a friggin' idiot. And I said, you were the first one. You hired me, you jackass. What does that say about you?
Hi, Joe. Race day. There's relief the high winds that buffeted Cape Town following the arrival of the fleet have gone. Preparations are complete, albeit hurried. Time once more to say goodbye. Delta Lloyd go into leg 2 with a new skipper, Spaniard Roberto Bermudez replacing Jer O'Rourke. Team Russia's owner, Alex Zertsov, is about to fulfill a lifelong ambition. The billionaire who made his fortune through running a chain of hypermarkets in his homeland missed the first leg due to the death of his mother. A sailor for just 3 years, he now boards the boat in Cape Town for a step into the unknown.
My vocabulary is not good enough to describe what I'm feeling right now. It's everything. You're feeling like huge and big challenges in front of you. It's great.
The second leg is a 4,500-mile passage to India. On leaving Cape Town, our boats will surge north to the finish line at Cochin, a first for the Volvo Ocean Race. It's pedal to the metal to get out of Cape Town, and Ken Reid on Puma's Il Mostro is first to break from the fleet. They're pursued across the bay by Becking and Grail. On their way out of the bay, incredibly, Ericsson 3's satellite dish is ripped from the mast and bounces across the deck. As the boats head into the Southern Ocean, the crews are all too aware of one potential danger that lies ahead: piracy. Well organized with speedboats and weapons, the East African coastline is a notorious haunt for pirates, with 63 ships being attacked in Somalian waters in the last 3 months.
So piracy is essentially a crime of opportunity. The Somalis are very good indeed at hijack for ransom. So if a Somali gets on your boat, they are not interested in removing all the crew's possessions because they've got 3 months to do that. What they will do is hold a gun to the captain or watch captain's head and say, drive to Somalia, and then the negotiations start.
The stark warning creates tremors.
So much water.
If you're asking if we're taking guns, we're not taking guns. Guns are a dumb idea because that's violence. Violence breeds violence. You know, you shoot and you miss. You know, some of the guys are, hey, I can get a flare gun, I'm going to shoot the guy. Well, if you miss with the flare gun, guess what? He ain't going to miss.
Bauer Becking and his men on Telefonica Blue struggled on the first leg. Leg 2 is also becoming a challenge. In just 24 hours, Telefonica Blue lose 2 sails.
Me gustaría estar navegando.
Overall leader Ericsson 4, skippered by Torben Grail, raced side by side with Puma's Il Mostro across the Southern Ocean. Before Ken Reid opts to try his luck on a more northerly route to India. Ahead of the first scoring gate, the Southern Ocean begins to live up to its notorious reputation and wreaks havoc among the fleet. Green Dragon becomes its most serious casualty as they race through 12-meter seas at 40 knots. As Green Dragon toils in the hazardous conditions, Team Russia continue their march to India. They're making great progress, until... Eventually, a shaken crew manages to right the boat and they rejoin the race. Elsewhere, the carnage continues. Puma, smarting from an earlier altercation with a menacing wave, is picked on once more. This time there are far greater consequences. Il Mostro has cracks in its central structure.
You can equate this to somebody breaking their back. Our boat's back is broken.
Delta Lloyd have also hit a bump in the road to the alarm of navigator Matt Gregory.
It could have been bad. I mean, bad to the point where the keel falls off, the boat flips over, the guy's on deck. You know, who knows what happens to them? The guy's trapped inside the boat upside down.
Up ahead, Torben Grail's crew have no such worries and storm over the line of 58 degrees east ahead of their sister ship to claim the maximum 4 points. The numbers finally add up to in the Team Russia nav station.
4th place, best position in this race so far for us. Big up, hey? Okay, boys, going through the scoring gate right now. 4th place, Kosatka. Woohoo! He likes it, and we're fast. Wonderful. The winds are gonna get warmer.
On board, Team Russia's billionaire owner Oleg Zerpsov learns about the harsh realities of ocean racing.
What the hell are you doing here? I don't know, Rodion. I replaced my office, the company 12,000 people, to that tiny little boat with impossible to walk, impossible to sleep.
So look, what's your favourite part of the job?
I have to say, everything is difficult. I like hoisting sails. I'm really enjoying being with you guys, learning a lot every single day. That's cool. All right, enjoy.
Go, go!
Up ahead, workers in Cochin have laboured day and night to get the race village ready to welcome the fleet in style. With the threat of pirates having never materialized, under the cover of darkness, 14 days after leaving Cape Town, Ericsson 4 crosses the finish line to win a second successive leg, and with it send an ominous warning to the rest of the fleet.
Oh, very relieved to get here in one piece ahead, and great to see the family.
And then we have
Dusk falls as Telefonica Blue claims second place, arriving in India just over 12 hours after Ericsson 4. The following afternoon, an Anders Luander's Nordic crew on Ericsson 3 become the third boat to cross the Cochin finishing line.
I already love India, even if I haven't been ashore yet, but I love India. What a fantastic, exotic place. I think Volvo has done a fantastic thing to go to India. It's completely crazy. We are very happy. We are very happy. Happy for the third place, and we even think we deserve third place, so we are very happy.
After 4,500 miles, a matter of minutes separate the next 4 boats. Incredibly, Telefonica Black, having spent most of the leg towards the back of the fleet, is next home. Concealing their location from the rest of the pack for 12 hours as part of the new stealth play concept, Fernando Echevarri and his navigator Roger Nilsson surprised those around them by moving up from 7th to finish 4th. As the other 7 teams enjoy the comfort of their hotel, Team Russia remain out on the water, and their route into Cochin resembles an obstacle course. Andreas Hannekamp's men are still hundreds of miles from the finish line. Snagging a fishing net is the last thing they need.
Nick, did you try to get hold of them on the radio?
Yeah, we tried to call on the VHF.
Any luck?
No. We've been monitoring them for the last 10 or 15 minutes. We saw them quite close to leeward, but the problem is the net's floating net. So normally if you have a net like this, you have a light on the far end. But as you can see, there's no lights anywhere near us other than on there.
Yeah. Fishing boat trying to help us get up, get unwrapped, made it worse and wrapped us up even worse. So we've had sails down for an hour and a half.
I feel really sorry about cutting the net, but it was the only option.
An exhausted Alex Zertsov and his men finally arrive in India more than 3 days after Ericsson 4. At the start of leg 3, Torben Grael's Ericsson 4 leads the Volvo Ocean race by 7 points from Bauer Becking on Telefonica Blue. Ken Reed on Puma's Il Mostro is third. With Ericsson 4 tightening their grip on the race, the pressure is starting to mount on the other 7 teams. Telefonica Blue are desperate to gain any advantage on the next leg, so they're putting faith in this man, Tom Addis, a renowned weather expert. He'll be on board as the fleet heads to Singapore. Leg 3 will be a 2,000-mile race into the Indian Ocean and down the Malacca Straits to the finish line in Singapore. The winning crew is expected to be sipping champagne within 10 days.
Thank you, coaches.
60,000 people flood onto the dockside to wave goodbye to our 8 crews. The end of an historic fortnight. The beginning of a new journey.
A very variable forecast, but we have a lot of confidence in what we're going to see. So this is the conditions I grew up sailing in: light, shifty, variable. I'm all fired up. I can't wait to start. So we can expect.
Matt Gregory on Delta Lloyd is a man desperate for success. By choosing the wrong path through the doldrums on the first leg, Delta Lloyd finished 7th. On leg 2, they came home 6th. The navigator knows unless he gets them to Singapore quickly, his crew will begin to lose faith in him.
We come down the coast. There are 2 marks that they're placing, virtual marks that we have to go around.
With final preparations complete, the boats are towed to the start line. All except Delta Lloyd.
Tide's going quick, huh? We need to get a tail on as fast as we can.
Put on the winch, Pete.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah. Everybody to leeward? Well, it's not marked on the chart, so Matt thought we were in 10 metres of water. Obviously we were in less than 4.5 metres of water, and I think the Russians might have just touched as well. Puma was smart enough to see us touching, so they quickly jibed, and Ericsson just got away with it, I think, so pretty unlucky. It's just the fact of the matter that keel's all covered in mud now. We have to send a diver down, so we'll be sitting out there while the other boats will be sailing, tuning up. You know, it matters. It matters.
3, 2, 1.
Tightly grouped in just 10 knots of wind, Puma leads the fleet into the Indian Ocean. Destination, Singapore. On Telefonica Blue, it's Tom Addis's big moment. Brought in to find a way through the light winds, he's called upon to locate the breeze.
It always looks better on the bow here, so we're just trying to get south as quickly as we can, and off we go. We're pulling bearing on the boats around us, so short term I think we're doing the right thing. It's just a matter of getting the bow into the breeze first, and then we'll be off. But yeah, it's the start of it, so hopefully it'll get easier from here.
It's 100.
On Telefonica Black, veteran navigator Roger Nilsson is leading his boat the wrong side of a waypoint, positioned to keep the fleet away from the Sri Lankan coastline. Is he about to go from hero to zero?
We have to dive. Look at this. We have to dive.
Okay, you tell me. It's your call. You are the navigator. I don't know. You want to jibe? We jibe. Okay, stand by jibe.
Because there is a current setting. All these boats go...
I don't care what we have to do. I don't care.
Okay, vamos a virar.
Listo.
A virar. Venga. Enrollamos primero, Venga, ya.
As Telefonica Black attempt to return to the mark, the lights of Puma's Il Mostro appear on the scene as they take advantage of their mistake.
But I don't care that, Roger. Please just focus on this. We are going backwards.
Navigational issues apart, as on leg 2, piracy is a major cause for anxiety, with numerous attacks in the area over the past few months.
Maybe it's fishing boat, but...
See a little fishing boat that way, and he's coming kind of in our direction. But far to tell what it is, but I'm sure we'll get closer and have a look.
What's he doing?
Pretty slow boat, but...
It's like...
Maybe he's never seen a sailing boat before.
Hi! Oh, nice!
Just a fishing boat, didn't expect anything else. Friendly people.
Very friendly. Must be near Christmas.
On Telefonica Blue, weather expert Tom Addis is about to find out if his gamble of searching for the wind has paid off.
You know, we built to 10 and 15 knots within 5 or 10 minutes or so. So hopefully this will take us 200 miles to the corner.
The stronger winds are very welcome. The fleet begins to chase hard.
I didn't think it'd be windy. I only brought one t-shirt and I don't have any boots, and I didn't bring a towel, so I was told it'd be no more than 10 knots.
Delta Lloyd's ambitions, meanwhile, are about to suffer a major blow.
Down below. Something down below. What's going on? Something broke down below. Definitely down below. What do you need to do with it? I think these bolts. You see what's happening? No, I can't see any left this board up. I think the kill is like a ram's hole. Some hole, something like that. Complete ram shell failure here. And there. Complete failure here, look. Okay, chip down. Chip down. You want to get the pump ready to go just in case?
Matt Gregory from the Delta Lloyd. I just wanted to let you guys know we have a major keel structural failure. Sinking?
Well,
sinking.
We need to think about it.
We're kind of assessing the situation right now to figure out what's our state here. We want to keep you guys on high alert for any sort of assistance we might need.
The ram has come off here. Here's the other part. This bulkhead is also cracked here and cracked there. Both sides coming off.
We're not racing, we're not sinking, so okay.
On Team Russia, Scott Gray continues to adapt to life in the Volvo Ocean Race.
What day is it? It's laundry day today. Me and Nick were getting a bit sweaty and smelling. We've actually just had a big hydraulic leak in the front of the boat. I guess it's horrible stuff, it just gets everywhere, it doesn't really want to come off. You need a special degreaser normally to clean it up. It's not too flash for your skin either. So I think we need to go do some personal hygiene.
Up ahead, the battle between the leading boats for the maximum 4 points at Pulau is about to be settled. A steady northeasterly breeze over the last 24 hours has left only one outcome.
So Torben, leg 3, scoring waypoint first. What you got to say about that?
Oh, nothing to say, it's just to celebrate. It was a very difficult leg up to here, and we expect even more difficult from here to the finish.
Grail's crew extend their overall points tally to 30. Just under an hour later, Telefonica Blue earns 3.5 points to take theirs to 22.5 to stay second overall.
95-20.
But after staying too long in the middle of the Straits, Ericsson 4 stalls heading back towards the Malaysian coast. The chasing 3 boats, meanwhile, have been fighting for every inch further inshore, and after 8 hours of sea breeze, their efforts are duly rewarded. When darkness falls, the struggle for the lead gets tighter still.
Just get the line up. Starboard! Starboard! Hey! Hey! Hey guys, hey! Hey! Hey!
They are less than 1 boat length away.
We are on the ley line there.
Anytime we can dive it.
Let's dive. Ready, Pepper?
Here we go. Bit of action.
Yep. That was very close, eh, Bowie?
It was very close. You had to avoid a collision, so we showed a protest.
Amurado a estribor, llega Ericsson amurado a babor. Ahora debido, pues eso, pues pillar sin gente encubierta o lo que sea, no tras luchaba y casi nos chocamos. Y menos mal que al final ha metido un cañazo y bueno, nosotros hemos arribado y no nos hemos chocado, pero...
Dawn, and the leaders continue to race side by side. Puma and Ericsson 4 begin to trade blows.
Yeah, you're first. Hold on, go fast. Trim it, trim it, trim it, trim it!
As Telefonica Blue continue their march for home, behind them Puma and Ericsson 3 go toe-to-toe.
In the bow, yeah?
Up ahead, Telefonica Blue look over their shoulder.
You can see all the chewing gum is out. We're getting a bit nervous now. It's just under 50 miles to go, so a couple of quick chews and hope we can keep the lead.
Under the cover of darkness, Singapore is about to witness an extraordinary end to leg 3. Bao Becking and Telefonica Blue are striving for the finish line. Chasing hard in second and less than 20 minutes behind, Ken Reed on Puma's Il Mostro. Seconds behind them, Anders Luanda and his Nordic crew on Ericsson 3. And almost within touching distance on their stern, Torben Grail and Ericsson 4. Bao Becking's Telefonica Blue wins a pulsating race to the finish. 9 days after leaving Cochin, they give everyone watching a reminder they're still very much in this race.
Look, the last 48 hours was just all the time. So no, it has been really exciting, really tough, and I think the guys now well deserve to have a bit of sleep as well.
While Becking and his crew celebrate, meters separate Puma, Ericsson 3 and Ericsson 4 in the battle for second place.
They're right on top of us. We're talking boat lengths, like 3 boats within 6 boat lengths. And so we're working every last little path, moving our way, everything that we can do.
It's Puma who finish runners-up.
Alright, enjoy it. Nice one, Nico.
Nice, Bobby.
Back around. Nico.
The perfect finish is you have no idea where the finish line in that race. That's the perfect finish.
On Ericsson 3, their lead over Ericsson 4 is a matter of seconds.
Feels really good.
Now we're getting the drop.
Come on. Come on. He was even 10 knots.
20 knots 4 minutes ago. Now we got 6. Isn't even like 11 knots. Camera finished.
Ericsson 3 clinch third, and with it a notable victory over their sister ship. For Team Russia, Cochin to Singapore has been a trial of inner strength. Easing their way through the busy shipping lane, the crew is despondent about more than the 7th place finish. Having overcome hostile seas, they've now met something insurmountable. Financial problems are forcing them to suspend racing until further money becomes available. Elsewhere, Torben Grail is about to find out if things are going to go from bad to worse for race leaders Ericsson 4. They're appearing in front of the international jury after failing to inform the race measurers of changes made to the bow of the boat before the start of the race in Alicante. Should Ericsson 4 be found guilty, they could be handed a hefty points penalty which could see them lose their lead.
Right, good afternoon. We are meeting here to address a protest by the race management group against E4.
We have from day one of this project always been crystal clear with the measures about the measurement of our boats and ideas. The reason this change was not communicated to them is still unclear to us, and furthermore we never denied that we did the change, and we never tried to hide anything. Nevertheless, there's no rule that tells us we shall inform them when we do it.
Do you accept Torben's point that if they were to make a change of a bow, for example, and it was exactly the same as the original bow, take away the measurement screw for a moment, that would not require you to be informed, is what he's suggesting?
They're not directly required to inform us if they make a change, but what they are required is to ensure that the hull on completion is presented for measurement.
I'm almost 50 years old and I have dedicated my entire life to sailing. I can hold the pressure of... I can hold the pressure of being the tactician of an Italian America's Cup team in 2 Louis Vuitton finals. And I can hold the pressure of sailing 6 Olympic Games. And I can hold the pressure of sailing 600 miles in 24 hours. But I cannot hold the pressure of this.
Any final statement you want to make?
Only that I think this was a simple case of an oversight.
The jury finds that there was no obligation for E4 to inform the RMG of the change, and the protest is therefore dismissed. The jury endorses E4's opinion that it is normal practice for teams to inform the RMG of any such changes. Not to do so risks breaching other rules. Thank you very much.
huge relief as Ericsson 4 remain race leaders. Ericsson 4's stablemates aren't quite so lucky. Having strayed into an exclusion zone between Cochin and Singapore on the last leg, Ericsson 3 are deducted a point by the international jury. Following Ericsson 3's penalty, the leaderboard ahead of the Singapore import race looks like this. Torben Grail's Ericsson 4 lead by 4.5 points over Bauer Becking's Telefonica Blue. Ken Reed and Puma's Il Mostro are third. The Singapore import race gives Ericsson 4 a chance to show their fourth place finish on the last leg was just a blip. In 16 to 18 knots of wind, Torben Grail's men race around the harbour and claim overall victory from the two import races. Leg 4 will involve 2,500 miles of upwind sailing across the South China Sea, past Taiwan, into the East China Sea, then on into the Yellow Sea, finishing in Qingdao. Replacing skipper Anders Luander at the helm of Ericsson 3 is 59-year-old veteran Magnus Olsen. Remaining on the dockside, Matt Gregory, Delta Lloyd's navigator on the first three legs.
Yeah, it's a sad day. It's definitely sad to be leaving the Volvo Ocean race, but I must admit, this is going to be a good one to miss. This one's going to be brutal.
After Gregory's trying experience aboard the Dutch-Irish entry, Singapore's Chinatown is the closest to Qingdao that he's likely to get, at least on this race.
After we got in from leg 3, it was a very difficult leg for all of us, and there were definitely some conflicts that transpired along the way, and I think after we all went away for a week, we decided it'd be better to part ways.
Another change comes on Telefonica Black. They're opting to change to bigger rudders, accruing a 3-point penalty. As the fleet heads north of the Philippines, they do so knowing there are strong winds ahead.
As you can see over here, coming down through the Straits of Taiwan, we have this massive high pressure system, a cold front on the leading edge of this 1063 massive high pressure system. It's really going to come rock the fleet pretty good. It's essentially going to shove us down into the Straits of Taiwan, which is notoriously this time of year one of the nastiest places on Earth.
In the middle of the pack and chasing hard as the storm develops is Ian Walker on Green Dragon. His campaign has been blighted by problems, but the Irish-Chinese entry is desperate to be first into Qingdao. But more problems.
Broken the carbon fibre, so we're very lucky not to break the mast. We're going to put up some new stays and we're going to have to soldier on slowly to Qingdao.
Up ahead, Ken Reed on Puma's Il Mostro is engaged in a scrap for the lead with Bauer Becking on Telefonica Blue. Every decision is critical. With Ericsson 3's skipper struggling with an injured hand, his crew fight on.
Yeah, we can clue it. We just tape it up. It's not just a game now.
Am I going to need a haircut? Yeah. This is the No Mercy Medical Clinic, mate. Eh? Could have smashed your nose off, but there would have been a good opportunity to sort that honker out.
He's out. He lost the fight. The boom won.
The anticipated 40-knot winds and huge waves duly arrive and begin to batter the fleet.
Conditions for sure, so we're trying to nurse the boat through it. There's emails going between the boats, some boats want to stop the race.
The brutal conditions force our fleet to follow a sheltered route north along the coast of the Philippines. Ken Reid on Puma's Il Mostro continues to set the pace, but he's closely followed by Fernando Echevarri on Telefonica Black and Bauer Becking on Telefonica Blue. Puma's Il Mostro ploughs on in search of glory.
God damn it. We didn't deserve this.
With those around them being punished, Delta Lloyd looks to make gains from the rear of the pack. But the screaming winds are proving to be too strong. The mainsail rips and Tuni Bermudez, on hoisting a storm jib, opts to head for shelter with Ken Reid on Puma's Il Mostro. Puma's search for refuge sees them leave the leaders and return south. For Delta Lloyd, last on the leaderboard, their damage is another crushing disappointment. Green Dragon are battered by the elements. A broken bulkhead forces them to head for the safety of the Philippines. Fernando Echevarri's Telefonica Black also hit trouble.
It stops the same place here as it does in the boat. Yeah.
The crack in the hull deck joint means their quest to even reach Qingdao hangs in the balance. As night falls, the situation becomes serious.
Temas de seguridad deberíamos de tener ya todo colocado en un sitio, ya está. Vale. Comida, agua, la caja médica, está todo en la balsa. Ahora lo preparamos. Y todo en un sitio preparado. Si hay que abandonar el barco, abrimos las dos. Si hay que abandonar el barco, abriremos las dos lanchas. Las dos balsas.
1, 2, 3. Okay, and another ceremony. This is a traditionally Chinese way.
Ian Walker's problems have forced his crew to stop for extensive repairs. But as they celebrate Chinese New Year, Green Dragon is ready to rejoin the fray.
We're going to resume racing, and now we're going to get to Qingdao as fast as we can. There's only 4 boats ahead of us still racing. Delta Lloyd in the background are going to be leaving soon, so yeah, we're back into it. Nothing changes. Qingdao, here we come. Chinese New Year tomorrow. Xing Yi Hao.
Ericsson 3 in second are chasing the leaders Telefonica Blue.
Ju tröttare folk är, ju mera vill de bara att båten ska komma dit i ett skick liksom. Och det vill ju alla, men ibland måste man också driva på lite och försöka segla fort. Det blir ju svårt att ta E4, de har ju kommit igång nu, men Jag är ändå glad att vi är där vi är liksom. Knock on wood, ingenting får gå sönder, men det är, så kan man inte säga då kommer man ju aldrig fram. Man måste ju pusha lite.
Already, leg 4 has wrecked the ambitions of 3 out of 7 boats and seriously dented a 4th. For Ericsson 3, the end comes in a few terrifying hours at the end of day 9, in a violent sea some 60 miles northeast of Taiwan.
I can't see much more squall on the radar, so I have to assume this is going to stay for a while.
Boat stops rocking and I sit down here. It's like a really scary television show. Everyone is trying to hang on deck, you know, just worried that everyone will not stay on board. You didn't see the picture disappear in the big waves and you're just crossing your fingers for the guys to stay on deck, you know, and everyone is there when the picture comes back. This is scariest so far in this race.
As well as a large crack, the crew have discovered an open hole in the hull. Bunk beds are sawn up to help shore up the weakened bow section.
Just 1 hour ago, the front there was full of water. We were pretty much going down.
So Martin, you're putting a survival suit on now? Yeah. If we get a bad wave, it could go bad for us.
We were sinking. It's still out.
Ericsson 3 is still taking on water. The crew suspends racing and towards the end of a traumatic and tiring day, receives a pilot boat escort. Rejoining the fray after their stop in the Philippines, Green Dragon is once again taunted by the heavy seas. Magnus Olsen's crew reaches safety in Keelung, an industrial port on the northern tip of Taiwan. Their shore crew already on hand to pick up the pieces. Within a few hours, Keelung will be offering sanctuary to a second boat.
Where's this crack?
Starting there. Following back to up here, so the radius. You can feel the hull. What happened?
What happened if it goes any further?
When the hull later starts to absorb water because of delamination, and with their mainsail already torn, Tuni Bermudez's crew has little option but to suspend racing and head for land. Telefonica Blue leads the race up the Chinese coast, their advantage now down to 15 miles. As well as congested shipping lanes, there are other traps lying in wait as they approach the delta of the Yangtze River. And Ericsson 4, chased by Puma, is in the thick of them. This time, Grail's men break free, but with darkness falling, Puma find themselves making unexpected gains.
Don't get cocky, boys. We're going to hit by ourselves.
Keep working, nice.
Torben Grail slips a place, but the battle for second isn't over. Finally, Becking's men cross the line to notch their second successive leg win, claiming 8 points to narrow the gap between them and overall race leaders Ericsson 4.
Very cool! How's the people? Look at this! Look at them! Hey! Oh!
This is China!
An hour and a quarter behind Becking, Ken Reed's crew arrives to take second place, rejoining the race in 7th after breaking their boom and dropping anchor off the Philippines for 10 hours. Theirs has been an astonishing comeback.
I believe we're there.
Are we finished now?
Yeah. Well on, guys.
I think. Good on, Kenny. Nice work. Go on, Leg, over there.
Our navigator has found China. Well done, Ian. You found it. Oh no, it's the Isle of Wight.
Oh, doesn't look a bit like that.
With Ericsson 4 claiming 3rd, Ian Walker's Green Dragon then approaches the land where it was built. At the helm for the final hour of its journey, Guo Xuan, the boat's media crewman from Qingdao. After breaking a forestay, damaging the forward ring frame and stopping for repairs off the Philippines, Green Dragon returns to a hero's welcome 2 days after the rest of the fleet.
We just said, whatever happens, we have got to get to Qingdao. We have got to get to Qingdao. We've got to Qingdao. Guo's been such a rock, you know, he's stayed with us since July. I think he's only been home once. To see his reaction, to see his family here, has just made the whole leg worthwhile.
The enormity of the situation is beginning to dawn on Ericsson 3's new skipper Magnus Olsen, as preparations continue to transport his boat 100 miles along the Taiwanese coast to a boatyard.
To restart in time, it needs a miracle. And this boat builder is going to work 24 hours a day, 3 shifts and so on, and we need a miracle.
Not for the first time, Ericsson 3's journey along the coast of Taiwan is precarious.
Really don't like the way that it bobs around like that behind us.
It's kind of scary enough as it is. That looks fairly secure now. I hope it's alright.
Frost on the deck? There's something in my contract about not having to sail if there's ice on the deck.
In Port Race Day, the riggers of Leg 4 mean just 4 boats are ready to race against each other. After losing 2 consecutive legs, the overall race leaders get their campaign back on track by winning the Qingdao Import Race. Following the Import Race, Bauer Becking and Telefonica Blue embark on a huge gamble. They begin work on changing their rudders for the start of the 12,500 mile Leg 5 to Rio, incurring a 3-point penalty. The revised leaderboard now means the gap between Torben Grail's Ericsson 4 and Bauer Becking's Telefonica Blue is extended to 7 points. Ken Reed on Puma's Il Mostro is now just 1 point behind Becking in 3rd. In a boatyard in northern Taiwan, Ericsson 3's extraordinary Leg 4 adventure is about to resume.
Thank you, guys.
15 days after sustaining a crack and delamination in a large section of the bow, Magnus Olsen's crew returns to the point where they suspended racing. The task in front of them, to complete the 650 miles to Qingdao, reload the boat in preparation for 5 weeks at sea, and make it back out for the Leg 5 start gun. They have just over 2.5 days. Leg 5. After crossing the Yellow Sea, the fleet heads for the northeast trade winds, crosses the doldrums, and then sets up for the charge to the first scoring gate at 36 degrees south. The route then dives into the eastbound depressions blowing round the Southern Ocean, through the second scoring gate at Cape Horn and up the 2,000-mile final stretch to Rio de Janeiro. With the fleet expected to be at sea for more than 40 days, Telefonica Blue's Gabri Olivo has a novel idea of making the freeze-dried food more enticing.
It's quite nice. I brought it directly from Italy. It's 18 kilos of Parmesan cheese. Oh. It's all. This is really nice because it's between 2 and 3 years old, and yeah, you should have seen the girl at the custom when it came in. When I got it from the scanner, and I was like, what? And then when I open it up and I go like this, and she was like, ah, what is this? Oh, more Parmesan. And like, how is that possible? So it was quite incredible. And also we got grated, so it's really nice because with this and a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, and everything is gonna taste nice. So.
Just an hour before the start, Ericsson 3 is 40 miles from China. Ahead of the fleet, a 12,300-mile test of skill, courage and endurance. The Southern Ocean and Cape Horn lying in wait. For Telefonica Blue, the challenge starts closer to home.
Suggest to draw the main as soon as possible and... No, keep the main up. We just hit something and basically stopped the boat completely, and there's nothing on the chart or something like that, so it's really strange. Like, there is a shallow spot, but that was well inside of us. Just a thing, you don't know what it is, but there is probably some damage on the keel.
As the breeze dies for the 3 boats beginning leg 5, another approaches to end leg 4. "18 days since they started taking on water through a crack in their bow section, Magnus Olsen's crew are finally in sight of their destination. Late, but elated. It's just after 6 o'clock in the evening local time, 5 hours since the leg 5 start gun, that Ericsson 3 reaches the dock.
I think I've done 40 legs or something in Whitbread and Volvo, and I've never abandoned a leg. I've always finished, and this feels like the best finish I ever made, even though it was a little bit late.
There are 40 days of food to be loaded, a new fuel tank to install and a new mainsail to fit. The Ericsson shore crew returns to action.
Thanks everybody.
Ericsson 3 turn their boat round in barely an hour and a half. Less than 7 hours after the departure of the rest of the fleet, Magnus Olsen's crew sets off on their next adventure. 3 new crew members on board, 70 miles behind. It's not until nearly 8 in the morning that the damage to Telefonica Blue's keel is repaired. The rest of the fleet has endured a slow first night, but chances to catch them up appear limited. 19 hours and over 150 miles behind his rivals, Becking and his crew face an enormous task, but have over 5 weeks in which to reel them in. After 2 days racing, Ian Walker's Green Dragon is overtaken by Magnus Olsen's men aboard Ericsson 3, who now trail the 2 charging leading boats, Ken Reed on Puma's Il Mostro and Torben Grail on Ericsson 4. At the back of the fleet, Telefonica Blue plunge headlong into the mountainous seas in a desperate attempt to claw back lost ground. Up ahead, at the front of the pack, Puma's pursuit of the leaders Ericsson VOR is relentless. Puma's German helmsman, Mickey Muller, has an added motivation to get to Rio as quickly as possible.
Did you know that Mickey's about to be a father?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he one yet?
No. It doesn't appear to be. No. Every time we get an email, we frantically get him down here so he can read it, because he's the only one that, of course, can speak German on the boat. And all of them are in German. This one's a long one, so clearly somebody at home is either rather bored or has a lot to say.
For many sailors, working on the foredeck of a Volvo 70 requires a leap of faith. Ericsson 3's bowman Martin Kreit is better equipped to make the jump than most.
It is, of course, a little bit a different choice to study to become a priest when you are a Volvo Ocean Race bowman. But I think for me, my belief is helping me a lot every day. But it's not like that I do crazy things in the rig or up on the bow just because I think that something good will happen if I fall off. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes you go up on the bow and you bounce around in your lifeline like a jo-jo, and you get washed by big waves and you bang your head into the rig. And it's not healthy at all, actually. I think the guys in the back of the boat have injured themselves more than I have. So far I've been lucky, I guess.
On Il Mostro, there's news for Mickey Muller.
I think Mickey's had a baby. We haven't had confirmation yet.
Scoot, man.
Nice.
Girl?
Yeah.
Well done.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Crack that bottle, mate. Fucking get that bottle out.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm a daddy. That's nice. So happy, Mickey.
What do you think,
Very
Sid?
good. I think it's fantastic. It's the big news we were waiting for since the start almost. I'm sure he's crying over there. Look, he's hiding. I'm sure he's crying. It's fantastic. I'm very, very happy. We're all very happy for Mickey and Micah. The man is okay, huh?
Yep. Congratulations. Nice. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
What's the name?
Mia Carlotta?
Oh,
Detached from the structural issues and crew changes endured by its sister ship, Ericsson IV has again avoided trouble on leg 5, at least so far.
You all done? Set up to go G1 up. Point 21.
Give you a bit of a fright there, blood, did it?
Yeah.
We've just had a major. We just had the code tack of something in the tack of the code 0 let go. And it's just flying right out the back, so something had broken. Luckily no one's hurt, because there was guys on the bows at the time, because we'd only just deployed it. Looks like there's a little hole in the sail. Luckily there's no rips on the headsel underneath. Not very nice. A mess.
This is how to pack for 40 days at sea. Well, first, when you have, first thing to have is tendonitis protectors. This keeps you from getting tendonitis. It's a 10-year-old hat. It's a keeper. They don't make them anymore. It's a classic. This is You can't get these anymore, as you can see. It's not a fashion statement, but it works like a champion. Okay, what's this? Right now I'm wearing one pair of shorts and a t-shirt. That's going to get me through the first at least 3 weeks, and I'll probably put it on all the way to Rio. This, shorts and a shirt. Vacuum bag, that's the same gear, which I'll put on right as we're going into Rio. Be nice and clean. Silk weight t-shirt. This is a merino wool Puma thermal. Spare socks. Gotta have spare socks. Spare sunglasses. Another pair of spare socks. Another pair of spare socks. That's 3 pairs of socks. Key. 1 bag of Cuban cigars, which are brought along for Cape Horn. Can't go around Cape Horn without a cigar. One little treat thrown in by my wife and kids. That's pretty much the end of the bag, Ricky. They gave me a couple of mini hand warmers, which I can stick at the bottom of my sleeping bag. If your feet get really cold, you put it in the sleeping bag, helps you dry your feet out. So that was a treat from my wife and the kids. And then the very last thing you carry is your wallet. So when you hit the dock in Rio, you know you can go out and buy yourself your first caipirinha. That's the total bag. That's 40 days of Volvo ocean racing.
It's Ericsson 4 who cross the scoring gate first and score 4 more points. Grabbing second and 3.5 points is Magnus Olsson on Ericsson 3. Ken Reed crosses third to gain 3 points. Trailing the leaders by 21.5 points, Magnus Olsson on Ericsson 3 sanctions an all-or-nothing gamble. Young navigator Axel Magdal is convinced he's found a quicker route to Cape Horn, and instead of following the pack south, they head north to pursue stronger winds.
I guess in 4 hours, getting to this band of clouds here, then we're going to be into 30 plus knots for probably 8 hours or so. We're going to be close to the leaders, or if we're lucky, a little bit ahead.
The Magdal-Olsson master plan on Ericsson 3 is working. Their bold decision-making at the scoring gate has seen them leap into the lead, more than 100 miles ahead of Puma's Il Mostro and Ericsson 4. Green Dragon and Telefonica Blue plough on in the south. For Bauer Becking, bringing up the rear, the war of attrition continues. They break a forestay, the piece of rigging holding up the mast, and see one of their sails plunge into the water.
G'day Campbell, we've broken the forestay.
Skipper and shore manager have a huge decision to make. Head for land or plough on, knowing heavy seas lie ahead.
Looking at it as well, and there is an airport over there, is there? So it's about 120 miles away. The Blackbird has arrived in Rio, so we can take that part, but it means still we take it from there, fly it over to New Zealand, and then land into the Chatham Islands, go for anchor there, so we might be losing probably 30, 60, 48 hours at least. So it's a question of just carry on. That's just a big bit to make a decision.
No tenemos repuesto esta pieza, así que va a estar complicado.
Still the furthest south, Telefonica Blue is losing ground rapidly. Green Dragon seize their opportunity and leave them floundering. In the north, Puma and Ericsson 4 are side by side in the pursuit of the leaders, who are over 100 miles ahead of them in the distance. The following day, the Southern Ocean kicks in with a vengeance. For For the next 48 hours, progress to the Horn for the first 4 boats is rapid. Ericsson 4 resumes their pursuit of the leaders and closes to within 33 miles of their stablemates. Wind speeds climb to more than 50 knots, boat speeds to over 30. The combined impact on tired crews is brutal.
Everybody's pushing the boat to the limit. You know, you're actually just hoping that you can get through the watch without breaking the boat. You know, right now, flying off waves are coming into the cockpit, hitting people, and mentally, you go to your happy place. You know, places with your kids or your family or some. Next thing you know, the watch is over. You know, it's hard sailing right now.
So tough are the conditions that even Southern Ocean veterans like Tony Mutter on Ericsson 4 run into trouble.
Got caught with a squall and buried the bow. You know, coming out into a broach. Tried to straighten her out and with a wheel and broke it all. It wasn't very nice. And while all that was going on, we were still buried, going pretty quick. And I thought it just broken a cable, but so I swapped wheels. I got to the leeward wheel and it wasn't working. So luckily Blood was right there, and he grabbed the weather wheel and continued on while then we finally worked out what was going on, and we just ripped all the sheaves out of the inside of the hull. The steering sheaves that come off the quadrant.
There's also trouble on Puma.
We just broke the wheel for a second time. Case is repairing it. And I've got 3 reef and J4. And all is okay. Under control.
Day 31, 12:22 GMT. The race to the Horn is finally decided.
I'm very happy and very tired. But I have power to do the last 2,000 miles, don't you worry. Skål! It's only 2,000 miles to go. After 31 days of sailing, we go around Cape Horn first. Now we're going to fight to the bitter end.
Bit of the boat, bit of the ocean.
Less than 2.5 hours later, Ericsson 4 rounds to claim 3.5 points and immediately sets off in pursuit of its sister ship.
Have to put ashtrays on the pedestals.
We have a little celebration coming up. We're rounding Cape Horn. Casey, are you going to go naked at the Horn?
Of course I am. What else would you do?
He said he's going to hold the sign naked. So, personally, if he does do that, he's the dumbest human on earth.
Just under 6 hours later, the third boat to clear the scoring gate after elaborate preparations is Ken Reed's Puma. Already in Brazil is Delta Lloyd. The Dutch entry retired from leg 4 and will rejoin the race on leg 6. Also in Rio, another leg 4 casualty is being prepared to re-enter the fray. Fernando Echevarri's Telefonica Black is also the subject of a battle against the clock to be ready for the import race. On Ericsson 3, 5 weeks at sea is beginning to take its toll.
Yeah, I think we're all under a lot of stress, and I talk a lot about nothing. Talk about nothing. And that's my way a little bit to handle the situation. Talk, as you understand now, talk. And I think a lot of people get tired of me because talk. You have a nice, black suit on you. I can talk about that one. I can talk about your trousers there. I can talk about, here is a squirrel. I can talk about this squirrel. Why do you have a squirrel on board? And how many squirrels do you think there is in Sweden? And then people can guess it's 100,000 squirrels. Nah, there's only 1,000. That's very important. Perhaps it's only 1,000 squirrels in Sweden. I think it's more 100,000. You can talk about animals. If you start with an A, an animal on A and B and C and D, or capitals or countries or things like insects. Nasty people, name of nasty people. They handle it in a different way, everybody. It's interesting to study how people We have one on board, no names, that eats all the time. Small things, eats. One guy, he cannot but trim the sails. Even if he doesn't do anything, he can ease 1 millimeter and take up again 1.5. And we have one guy that is doing the boat very nice inside, picking up small things, cleaning inside, cleaning corners, cleaning everywhere, really. And when he's done, he starts from the beginning again. So there is a lot of different people. It's interesting to see, and I talk.
In an attempt to shake Ericsson 4 off their tail, Ericsson 3 go into stealth mode. Their location will remain secret for 12 hours. The plan works. Emerging from stealth mode, Magnus Olsen and his men are within touching distance of the Rio finish line. "22 days since making their decisive move, Ericsson 3's crew finally arrives in Rio to claim the reward for their temerity. A stunning leg victory and a permanent place in the hearts of race followers everywhere. For Ericsson, it's a superb team effort. But for the 60-year-old 5-race veteran sailing in only his second leg as skipper, it's also a personal triumph.
Yeah! You understand?
The Nordics finally crossed the line 40 days, 5 hours and 37 minutes after starting leg 5 in Qingdao, and more than 43 days since leaving Taiwan to complete leg 4. After 6 remarkable weeks at sea, Ericsson 3 take their place on the winner's podium, their place in race history already assured.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Ericsson 3.
Despite finishing second in Rio, Torben Grael on Ericsson 4 still has a healthy lead over Ken Reid on Puma's Il Mostro, who were third to reach Brazil. The longest leg in Volvo ocean race history is over at last. Boats intact, crews home safe and well. While nearly 3/4 of its 37,000-mile lap of the globe has been completed, half the race's total points are still up for grabs. 5 legs gone, 5 more ahead. This year's race has still got a long way to go. Repairs complete, Delta Lloyd and Telefonica Black take their places on the start line for the Rio import race.
Water up here, and we can see it. A little higher, a little faster than Ericsson 4, which is good.
10 boat legs!
It's Telefonica Blue who win the Rio import race.
Perfecto.
Puma's Il Mostro comes in second, and Delta Lloyd, who haven't raced since leg 4 and have Brazilian Olympian Marcelo Ferreira on board, finish third.
I didn't know the mark was that far right.
Amazingly, on familiar water, Torben Grael can only finish 4th.
delivered on them there. On the first bit. Yeah, but you know, you agreed as well that tacking on the hip was the right thing to do. We got a right shift either when we tacked or...
Leg 6. Our fleet is bound for Boston, USA. For the spectators on the Copacabana, there's one last opportunity to wave the fleet off before it heads across Guanabara Bay and out into the South Atlantic. Ahead, nearly 5,000 nautical miles of ocean racing from South America to North America and all the challenges in between. Ericsson 3 soon hit trouble. Skipper Magnus Olsen injures himself on deck, cracking a rib.
I'm down. 8. They count.
Yeah, a little bit. I think you busted a rib out.
Yeah.
Patient name, Magnus Olsen. Age, 60. Problem, he's nuts.
A couple of hours ago he got washed down the boat by a wave and he got really badly hit in the lower rib sac area here. And usually the lower down on the ribs the less worry there is that he could have internal damage in there, but he could have a little bit of blood on the bottom of the sac around the lungs, so we're just going to listen in here and make sure it's all okay.
One more time. I'm going to med school after this race.
We're about 5 or 6 hours short of an area where we could get him off the boat if we had to. He doesn't want to get off because he's the skipper. But the alternative is he'll be on board with us for another 12 days till we get to Boston.
I don't want to get off. If you have painkillers that can last,
we have that.
Yeah, then it's fine.
As Ericsson 3 toils, Telefonica Blue continues to set the pace towards Fernando de Noronha.
Ahí debajo y estamos llegando en 5 minutos a la puerta de aquí de Fernando de Noronha, así que muy bien. Un chubasco ahora mismo, pero caza un poco, Botán. Pero todo bien, perfecto.
The race is on for Boston. 10 days out of Rio and the fleet is gaining ground on the leaders, Telefonica Blue.
We're going fast, we're on course, and we're making some small inroads into our competitors, so pretty happy out here. More speed! That's what keeps the motor running.
Otherwise, I probably would have ended up in the ocean right now.
Well, they're catching up because they're sailing faster than us. And they're sailing faster than us because they've got more breeze than us. And there's not a whole lot we can do about that.
So our leaders dropped from being over 100 miles to just over 50. And the next 36 hours will be real crucial.
In an effort to regain the initiative, Becking takes his boat into stealth play, his moves invisible to the fleet for the next 12 hours. 3 hours later, Torben Grael and Ericsson 4 follow suit. When the two boats emerge from stealth play, the picture has changed dramatically.
And an absolute shock.
Becking and his men jibe too early and quickly run out of pressure. Grail's crew time their jibe to perfection, lining up 80 miles further north to move ahead of Becking, followed by Ericsson 3 and Puma's Il Mostro. Bauer Becking's hopes of winning the leg have been shattered. By daybreak on day 16, there are just 13 miles between the first 4 boats as they skirt the northern edge of the whale sanctuary on the approach to Boston. At the head of the fleet, Ericsson 4 lead their stablemate by just 4 miles. On one of Boston's biggest sporting weekends of the year, the Volvo Ocean Race delivers a spectacle of its own as the leading boats bear down on the finish line, racing to the last mile. Finally, Ericsson 4 finds just enough breeze to stay ahead of the Nordic boat. "15 days, 10 hours and 30 minutes after leaving Rio, Torben Grail's men crossed the Boston finish line to win leg 6. In the race for second, Ericsson 3 find themselves having to hold off a final thrust from a resurgent Telefonica Blue.
320 gets us to the finish. Like 320 is safe.
Coming or not? Easy to see. Five degrees if you like.
Magnus Olsen's men finished just 13 minutes behind their sister ship to take second, exactly 5 minutes ahead of Telefonica Blue.
How does it feel to arrive to Boston, Magnus?
Yeah, with a hat. We got a hat. But we got the second place, and that's unbelievable. It's so good. We are so happy for second place. Second. Yeah.
Almost a year since it was christened in the city, Puma's Il Mostro returns to Boston. Despite their best efforts, they can't catch Ericsson 4, and they have to settle for 4th place. They still receive a hero's welcome.
dear brother, Kenny Reed.
Thank you very much. It's I can't tell you how good it is to be home. Newport, Rhode Island, you don't realize how beautiful a place we live in until you go around the world. Go around the world in probably the dumbest way you could ever go around the world, and that's to sail a boat. Well, my wife said to me the other day, hey, are you thinking about doing another Volvo race? I said, well, why do you ask? She said, well, I'm doing it again, so I really hope you come along and join me. So it really helps that the pressure's off on the family side. They love it. They've loved every second of this thing. As a father, as a husband, as a friend, I think I am a better person today than I was 2.5 years ago, based on what I've learned from the Volvo race. And that is no exaggeration whatsoever.
Before heading out across the Atlantic to Galway on leg 7, Bauer Becking's Telefonica Blue wins the Boston import race, keeping alive their hopes of overall victory. The net effect of Becking's win in Boston is to reduce Ericsson 4's overall lead by just half a point, but extend to 3 points the gap between himself and Ken Reed and Puma's Il Mostro in third. In fourth place, Magnus Olsson's men closed the gap slightly on Reed. And in 7th place, Tuni Bermudez and Delta Lloyd also make gains in pursuit of Telefonica Black. Crossing the North Atlantic has always proved one of the toughest, most challenging legs of the Volvo Ocean race.
People often talk about the Southern Ocean and Cape Horn and Cape Point, but the North Atlantic can throw anything at you really, especially at this time of year in the early spring.
The 2005-2006 edition of the race was no exception. On leg 7 3 years ago, Dutch crewman Hans Horowitz drowned after being washed overboard from ABN AMRO 2, 1,300 miles from Land's End.
We're preparing a sail, and during that change, the wind got up from 12 to 14 knots to 25 quite quickly, and Hans, obviously being the guy who was trimming and hanging onto the most important sail on the boat at that stage, was the last to go down.
Despite recovering Hans, Seb Joss's young crew were unable to resuscitate him. But just 2 days later rescued Bauer Becking's crew from the stricken Spanish boat Movistar, her keel compromised and storm strength winds approaching.
2 años de trabajo, Iván.
In Boston, the time has come to say goodbye.
There's a huge amount of support in Galway and in Ireland, so this is a large part of what this project is about. This next leg and sailing into Galway.
At the first mark, it's Telefonica Blue who lead, followed closely by Telefonica Black. Creating chaos at the start, the arrival of a tanker. Ericsson 3 attacking in front of it.
Go guys! I'm sure we can, guys! That makes it lively. At top mark, just about to get run over by a ship coming up the channel. Unbelievable. Huh?
Frustration for Tuni Bermudez and his crew on Delta Lloyd. They're pinned out and having to sail alongside, leaving them trailing the rest of the fleet. Eventually, our 7 boats led by Telefonica Blue leave the crowded harbour. Next stop, Galway. The perils of crossing the Atlantic become clear almost immediately.
What just happened, Mickey?
Oh, I just hit a lobster pot, but it's alright.
The lobster pots are hindering some more than others.
Managed to hook one up on the dagger board and I'm going quite fast, so rather than just sliding off and falling off, it severed through the board and through about a front 200 millimeters. So we had to pretty much stop the boat, take the board out, which was, had a lot of damage. But we're back on track now and everything's just about repaired, so we should be back in the game again.
Got a little yacht race on our hands here. 60 odd miles to go to the scoring gate. We're neck and neck with Puma. Fans at home are going crazy.
As darkness falls, those on Telefonica Blue are aware Puma is beginning to draw ever closer.
Yo creo que estamos a 3 esloras. Hemos estado un poco más cerca antes, pero nos vamos alejando y nos vamos separando, intentando los dos sacar la prueba para adelante. Ahora estarán a unas 4 esloras o así.
Puma's efforts to catch Telefonica Blue are in vain. Ken Reed's men cross the scoring gate just 3 boat lengths behind. Wildlife presents real danger, and after a rapid fall in boat speed, Magnus Olsen's men on Ericsson 3 are having to reassess the damage caused by a collision before the scoring gate.
I saw one whale just a couple of minutes ago, and then suddenly I saw one spin just right in front of us on the windward side. I saw the tail and then I tried to go up a bit, but it was too late. It's a pity. But it was good that we took our spare dagger board.
For the 60,000 inhabitants of Galway on the west coast of Ireland, hosting a stopover of the Volvo Ocean Race will be a new experience. The city is more often the venue for arts, cultural and food festivals, but the locals are catching on fast.
Our boat's called the Green Dragon.
This was one of the biggest events of all I've ever seen in the city.
Everyone's really excited about it, and the city's been really revamped at the moment, so it's great.
We're very proud of the crew and the Green Dragon, very proud of the organisers of Let's Do It Galway. Our big day is here now.
For some, simply reaching Ireland intact is the main objective.
The rudder is snapped off about 6 inches below the hull. It's obviously what caused that wipeout. We're going to have to jibe now, which is fine. And then we're going to have to get a spare rudder in, which is going to be a mission.
It's left to bowman Casey Smith to replace the rudder, so Il Mostro can fight on. By the beginning of day 7, the fleet is screaming downwind in 30 knots of westerly breeze. Tracking Ericsson 4 in the north and desperate to stay within striking distance in conditions that suit them at last is Ian Walker's Green Dragon.
This is a f*** of a job.
It doesn't get much better than this. We've got 30 knots of wind,
Pretty big seas running out here. We are about 600 miles west of Galway, and it is really, really close between all the boats. There's Ericsson 4 about 25 miles ahead of us, and then a pack of 4 boats 100 miles away, who hopefully we're going to jibe and cross, but it all depends on the wind shift and how fast we can sail in the next 10 hours. The next 12 hours of this race is absolutely crucial. We're going to push this boat as hard as we can. We want to try and get on the podium.
But have they pushed too hard? Later on day 7, Walker's crew breaks the tack line on their reaching spinnaker. The sail almost completely destroyed. They've no option but to switch to their bigger spinnaker, leaving them on the very edge of control. The fleet's last big tactical call of the race is their final jibe. A right-hand turn east towards Galway. If it's timed wrongly with the expected southwesterly wind shift, hard-won miles and places will be lost. At 2200 GMT, the race leaders reach the Aran Islands, just over 40 miles from their destination. In Galway, the beacons and bonfires are already burning and the pre-arrival festivities well underway. A big Irish Saturday night in prospect. At 0:55 GMT on Sunday morning, day 9, Ericsson 4 crosses the finish line in Galway to win leg 7 of the Volvo Ocean Race. It's their second successive leg victory and secures an almost unassailable lead at the top of the leaderboard.
God, you got me out of my bed and you said
Torben Grail's men are safely home, but what of the battle for second? Would the next boat to arrive be the red of Puma's Il Mostro or the green of Green Dragon? The people of Galway would have to wait a little longer to welcome their hometown heroes. After failing to make the podium in their home port of Boston at the end of leg 6, Ken Reid and the crew of Puma's Il Mostro take second in Green Dragons at the end of leg 7. Their rudder may have broken, but their resolve did not. Just 11 minutes later, Irish eyes are finally smiling. After being pushed hard by Telefonica Blue, Ian Walker's Green Dragon returns to its home port in 3rd place, its first offshore podium position of the race.
Why would you confirm yet again that the Green Dragon has done what? Crossed the finish line, is on its way home.
Not the best funded crew, but perhaps the best supported. Ian Walker's men received the biggest welcome of a long and memorable night.
Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. It's like 3:30 in the morning. We thought everybody would be in their beds. Phenomenal. Being an Irishman on an Irish boat, arriving in Ireland in the Volvo Ocean Race. And look at it.
Once the dust had settled, the magnificent Irish support was out in force again for the Galway import race. Ken Reid on Puma's Il Mostro is the overall winner from the 2 import races. Despite finishing just 5th overall in the import races, Ericsson 4 remain on course to win the Volvo Ocean Race in St. Petersburg in June. Torben Grael is 13 points clear of Bauer Becking at the top of the leaderboard. Ken Reid's victory in the Galway import race means he's now just a point behind the Dutchman in 3rd. With the winds building steadily in Galway Bay, the fleet prepares to leave Ireland after a memorable 2 weeks in which ocean racing was embraced by a whole new audience.
We've had a huge stopover, we've been totally overwhelmed by the reception that we've had, but I think it's been the same for all the teams.
Friendships are temporarily suspended, race-long rivalries renewed. The battle for 2nd and 3rd is back on.
The first 24 hours for sure is going to be windy downwind. That should be good for us. Really looking forward to that. We're going to get up into the English Channel at some point. The wind's going to go light, and I'm sure there's going to be an awful lot of tactical opportunities. English coast, French coast. I think anybody knows where they're going yet. Just trying to take it all in. Just make sure I remember this for the rest of my life.
The fleet is heading to Sweden, destination Marstrand. Before a 500-mile charge to Stockholm, 8 months of hard work will end in St. Petersburg, Russia. Leading the leg and topping the leaderboard, Torben Grael's Ericsson 4 needs only a mid-fleet finish and to avoid serious damage to take a stranglehold on the overall race. But late on the opening day, their poise deserts them.
The wheels have been falling off on E4. We've just snapped the steering wheel into about 4 pieces and absolutely levelled one of our steering pedestals after 2 awesome broaches. 2 of the better ones I've ever done.
The fleet is heading towards the busiest shipping lanes in the world and the exclusion zone drawn up to keep it away from the southbound traffic. Suddenly, the racetrack becomes a lot more crowded.
One leads down through the course.
He's going to go and run down Telefonica for us.
Nice and close then.
Passing Rotterdam, Puma's woes continue.
Hands up, guys! Shootout. In one piece, guys.
After shredding their spinnaker, Ken Reid's crew are forced to use smaller sails and sail a higher course, pushing them further and further away from the fleet. By the end of day 4, they're in last place, over 20 miles adrift of their rivals Telefonica Blue. On board Ericsson 3, with the race approaching its conclusion, we find a weary crew.
4 o'clock in the morning and I'm completely tired. Without coffee, it's a disaster. There is this stuff. This doesn't work. You need the real powder. Then you take in here. And then you take a little bit of fresh water because it mixes better with cold fresh water. Black is beautiful. It's almost like it's standing up by itself, the spoon. Here comes the coffee. Hot. This keep you awake for another half an hour, and the stomach will go crazy about it as well. So then you take another half an hour to sit on the toilet. Yeah. If you don't stay awake for another half an hour with this, you never stay awake.
Another thing you can do if you want to keep awake is push-ups. You can do 50 to 100, no problem. I'm sure you'll keep awake. 99, 100. Okay, I go a little bit more.
Well, the other guys, they do stupid things to try to stay awake, like eat and talk and stuff. I just stay awake.
With Marstrand drawing ever closer, a game of cat and mouse begins to unfold on the water. With Andrew Cape navigating, Puma comes from the back of the fleet to pass the 4 boats hugging the coastline ahead of them before reeling in Green Dragon. It's a remarkable recovery.
Can't see Ericsson 3. Perfect. We've got Ericsson 4 just about 2 miles in front of us, maybe 3 miles. Puma half a mile away and light at the moment. Couldn't have done much more. It's a bit disappointing that Puma's ahead of us now, but what can you do? They just sailed past us on a reach from 5 miles behind to half a mile in front. There's nothing we can do about that. So guys have sailed very well. It's been a great leg, good fun.
Up ahead, Ericsson 4 is about to claim a decisive leg win.
Fantastic leg for us. And put us very, very close to the big goal. Fantastic.
It's Puma's Il Mostro who claims second ahead of Green Dragon.
How's that feel?
I know this is a theme, like that's the best comeback I've ever been a part of. That was now again the best comeback I've ever been a part of.
While Telefonica Blue grabs 4th, the fight for 5th is coming down to the wire. Telefonica Black and Delta Lloyd are side by side, inching towards the finish line. It's Tuni Bermudez who comes out on top. By winning leg 8, Ericsson 4 are on the verge of overall victory. They hold a 15-point lead over Puma's Il Mostro, whose amazing comeback sees them leap above Telefonica Blue. After a brief 3-day pit stop in Marstrand, it's time for leg 9, a 500-mile sprint to Stockholm.
Come on, let's go, we're racing. Ready, and dropping.
Telefonica Blue leads the way.
here? You okay right here? Brace yourself, guys.
Aquí, están aquí, Xavi.
I don't care if there are competitors or not. That is not right. Oh,
I am trying.
Rocks. It's all rocks here. This whole country's made of rock. You're a class racing man.
Have a look at your map. Yeah, we just get a rock underneath. It's just a little isolated spot. We can go either way to get off. Whichever's easiest.
Do you want to unfurl a little bit this one?
High and dry on it. Best thing to do is take the main down.
Come on, take this. Oh, what have I done? Hi, Judy Office, it's Sci-Fi here, just to let you know we're suspending racing.
De recordar al Movistar.
Bad crash. Very bad one. Really bad crash.
Not looking forward to see the boat out of the water.
After 2 hours, a stricken Telefonica Blue is freed from the rocks. With Telefonica Blue undergoing repairs in Marstrand, their rival for second place, Puma, find themselves engaged in attacking duel with Ericsson 3 on the run into Stockholm.
Yes, here we go!
After 33 hours and 43 minutes of racing, and at their 9th attempt, Ken Reed's crew claim their first offshore win to strengthen their hold on second place.
You guys are awesome, man.
Magnus Olsson's men take second, unable to deliver the win their supporters wanted, but their hero status already assured.
They ruined my party! You guys deserve it. You say it very well, all the time. You're always up there.
In third place are Torben Grail's crew on Ericsson 4. But this is no run-of-the-mill podium finish. With 5 leg wins already on the board, the 6 points earned for third place is enough to secure overall race victory. The 5-time Olympic medalist is now a Volvo Ocean Race winner.
When we got to Marstrand, we did a very big step to secure this, but still we missed it that little bit, and now we finally got that little bit that we needed, so we can say we won the Volvo Ocean Race.
Congratulations.
Oh, congratulations to you too.
Really good job.
Thanks.
Be very
Thanks
proud
again.
of yourselves.
Thank you.
Next time we'll try to give you a little more of a run.
All right.
Arriving last in Stockholm, 4 days after the rest of the fleet and carrying a frustrated crew, is a repaired Telefonica Blue. Incredibly, they go on and win the Stockholm import race.
Nice comeback, boys.
There's no change in the positions on the leaderboard following the Stockholm import race. Purely by starting the final leg, Puma will have accrued enough points to claim second place overall, consigning Bauer Becking and his men to third. The race to St. Petersburg is underway, the final leg of an epic journey. Leading the fleet into St. Petersburg are Puma and Telefonica Black, who are desperate to end the race with a leg win.
I talked to Fernando a lot before this leg, and I told him I had a feeling this was his leg. I didn't hope that it was going to be us being right there. They're sailing well this leg. They've sailed aggressively and well, and they, as always, they're giving us our hands full here.
Very close run. Very, very close to the finish. Just there.
Telefonica Black snatch victory. It's the first time Fernando Echevari's men have won a leg of the Volvo Ocean Race. Coming home third, Telefonica Blue. The overall victors arrive in fifth. The final leaderboard of the Volvo Ocean Race sees Ericsson 4 crowned victors by 9 points from Ken Reed on Puma's Il Mostro. Bauer Becking on Telefonica Blue finished 7.5 points adrift of them in third. Behind Becking came Magnus Olsen, the Nordic's extraordinary victory in Rio going down in race history. As will Green Dragon's arrival in Galway. They finish fifth. By winning the last leg, Telefonica Black finish on 58 points in sixth. Delta Lloyd end the race in seventh, while Team Russia were eighth. The final act on the water is a triumphant procession into the city of St. Petersburg.
Now, please welcome on stage the victorious Ericsson 4.
After 9 months and 37,000 miles of life at the extreme, Torben Grail and the crew of Ericsson 4 have finally got their hands on the trophy as they celebrate winning sailing's ultimate prize, the Volvo Ocean Race. This was the Volvo Ocean Race.